We're back. We're back. We're back. Make sure to stay to the end of the podcast because we have a little update on episode 65, chapter 2. So, welcome to a new episode of the Fit the Description podcast. I'm your host, G, and today we got B.
What's up, y'all?
And I'm not sure if anybody else is going to come in, but I had to do this podcast today because we had to do an emergency podcast because some really big news came out. But before that, I just want to let y'all know, shout out to y'all over there in Rumbleland. Thank y'all for checking us out. Shout out to y'all over there on all the other podcast platforms. Thank you for checking us out too. Thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for watching our stuff. I know we were going through a crazy time. I know we had to take a break, but we are back. And we're back in a big way. And I'm about to explain that very, very soon. But anyways, where you can find us at, which I do have a big announcement to say. But as of right now, where you can find us at, you can find us on all podcast platforms. You can find us over there on Rumble. And all additional links will be down in the description below. Sorry, like I said, this intro is a little bit different. I know if you've heard the last podcast, you understand why. But we got a continuation from that podcast, and we got some big news. But I want to see if B has anything he wants to say, and then I'm sure he said everything he had to say last podcast. But I want to see if he has any new words, any new feelings before I go ahead and make the major announcement.
Nah, man. We continue. We continue. We ain't stopping. No. And we'll keep going strong, man. We ain't worried. So. I pretty much said everything last week, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sad, and like as of right now, the new podcast hasn't been out yet. So I'm still working on the podcast before this one, but there is a continuation. That's why I said I had to absolutely say this. Do you want to read it, B, or you want me to read it?
I can't. I zoom in. Okay. Hi, OPN. We have reviewed your appeal for the following channel, OPN. After taking another look, we can confirm that your channel does not violate our community guidelines. Woo! Thank you for your patience while we review this appeal. Our goal is to make sure the content doesn't violate our community guidelines so that YouTube can be a safe place for all. And sometimes we make mistakes trying to get it right. We're sorry for any frustration. Our mistake caused you, and we appreciate you letting us know. How this affect your channel? To make this right, we put your channel back on YouTube. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us here. Thanks, the YouTube team. Hey, we're back.
Exactly. That's the major announcement. We're back on YouTube. And since B read it, I'll go ahead and show you the evidence. I'm going to show y'all the evidence right now. I looked at it, and yes, here it is. We are officially back here on YouTube. All the videos are back. Everything's back. We're back to normal. It's all back up. The only thing is we lost a lot of subscribers. We didn't have very many to begin with, but we went from 31 subscribers to 17 now. So we lost a lot of subscribers. But yes, the main channel where we post all of our podcasts is up. It's all back.
That's what's up, man. Hell yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
So if YouTube was truly sorry, you can always put us on the front page of YouTube. And
yeah, I don't think that would ever happen. Even I can admit that. Like, I'm just happy to be back. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to give us a chance. But with that being said, as a release of this podcast, I had to figure out what we were going to do. And so, first off, to be thankful to Rumble, because we were getting some views on Rumble. The thing what I decided to do, it's still up in the air. I don't know, because I still got to finish editing the last podcast. I understand this. So let me just bring this up on which to share. So as you see, episode 64, we only got the first half. The second half is not here on YouTube. What I think I'm going to do, and I will not know until I finish editing the next podcast, is that, which is up on Rumble and all the other podcast platforms, is episode 64, chapter 2, will only be uploaded on, you can only find it on Rumble and all podcast platforms. I may do the same thing with episode 65. So with this being episode 66, this is officially our first podcast back on YouTube. So you're not going to have the second half of episode 65. You can check the link down below. All the links will be there. You can check out various different podcast platforms, and you can check out Rumble to see episode 60, the second half of 65. I mean, the second half of 64. And then we'll also just keep episode 65 on all the podcast platforms and on to Rumble. Well, I will come back to YouTube for this episode 66. That's what we're going to do.
Yes.
So, yeah. And so this is going to be just a 2-man podcast for this one. But, I wanted to make sure I did one to do the major announcement because we're finally back here on YouTube. This is our first episode back. So that's why if you listen to this on YouTube, you're like, wait a minute, where are all the extra podcasts? Well, you got to go to Rumble or our other podcast platforms. All the links will be down below. So,
right. But yeah, you guys, it feels good to be back on YouTube again. No, there was a scare. Well, we wasn't scared, but it just sucked, right? YouTube took away our whole platform. Especially this is a G's project. He worked hard to put all this together, and see his work getting taken down from YouTube. I felt that. I was disappointed all day. So, for YouTube to see that we did not do nothing wrong and put our channel back up, or G's channel back up, it was OPN. It was truly
no, it's our
blessing.
channel. It's our channel. You can say our channel. That's how to be mine. It's our channel.
Oh, yeah.
I just run the channel, but it's our channel. I know everyone get that confused, but no, okay. I own the channel, but it's our channel.
Yeah. And thank the Heavenly Father for that. We gotta give praise to the Father, bringing us back. We have a voice, the Black Man Podcast, and we have a voice, man. We have a voice, and people want to hear it. So the fact that we're back, and thank you for Rumble for hosting us during our downtime. So you guys go subscribe to Rumble as well, and check us out. Watch the episode on YouTube and Rumble, or at least like, subscribe, and share. Spread the word. And we really appreciate it, because there's a lot of things happening right now, and we always bring good opinions, have good advice on what's happening, and when we say it in a way, we say it in a way where it's not sitting nowhere else, where we're not afraid to. Now we are respectful, and we're still recording. That's good. We're part of a lot of platforms, a lot. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, and all the other the podcast platforms that you can name. We're on it. So right now, our host is currently handling some business, so I'm just holding it down.
Don't worry about it. I'm back. I'm back.
Oh.
I'm back. I may have to leave. Not leave, but I may have to go grab something in a sec, but I'm good right now.
Okay.
But yeah, So we basically, we had we definitely had some downtime. So yeah, I'm just glad to be back again. I want to sit down and thank YouTube for listening to our side of things, and I definitely appreciate that because that's the thing though. Like I read the guidelines, I'm like, we didn't do none of that stuff, and so I went ahead. I reached out. I actually reached out to Team YouTube, and they told us, hey, you gotta appeal it. We went ahead and appealed it. I made my argument saying that, hey, we don't take part in any of that stuff because if you watch the last podcast, they said we were spamming and doing misleading stuff, and basically I know I kind of went through this last podcast, but the thing is that we never try to mislead you. Like again, I've said it before, I'll say it again right here. Now that we're back on YouTube, we are a podcast that is about opinions. We don't try to be the arbiters of truth. That's not what we're about. What we do is that I just bring a bunch of black men together, and of course, some special occasions we also brought in women, and I want to thank them for coming on. We definitely appreciate it. We come together and we just talk about things that go on in our society and the culture and news and all that stuff, which you always hear at the beginning. And we just share our opinions. That's all we are. We're not here to, mislead y'all or tell y'all. Like, yeah, we may give you our advice, our opinion, and our recommendations. That's all I can say. The goal, and I've always said this, the goal of this channel, and my hope is that when you hear what we say and hear the things that we speak about and that we talk about, y'all will come here, listen to it, and then go out there, do your own research. And the kind of community that I hope to foster is that when you find something that you say that sounds off or it's wrong, that you'll find evidence and post it in the comments so we can correct the situation if we can get to your message, whatever. So I mean, of course, we're smaller than what we were now. So like I've said, like this is their best chance to definitely comment, and there's a good chance that you may get it read because our audience is very small. Now that I was already starting to make changes, and now that we're back on YouTube, now I gotta kind of bring some things back and make some more changes now. So a lot of stuff got messed up by this happen. So it's now I'm just in a situation where it's like, oh man, I was getting ready to move everything away from YouTube, but now that we're back on YouTube, sorry about that. Now I gotta move everything back to YouTube, and so it's gonna take me a little bit more time before we're back to kind of normal. So you're gonna have to bear with us. I know we took an episode off, which we needed to because of what happened, but now we're back with this episode 66. Now, after this podcast gets done recording and edited, I now got to take the time to go ahead and refix everything and then figure out, because the thing is the release schedule now may change, and I might change it. I'm thinking about it. I don't know yet, and this also goes out to y'all on Rumble. I'm probably gonna upload on Rumble and YouTube at the same time going forward, and probably do manual uploads instead of letting YouTube do it. I mean, I know YouTube will do it. So over there on Rumble, if you get like 2 of the same podcasts, my bad, because we never turned off the mirror podcast. But what I will do is I may turn it off and just directly upload to Rumble and to YouTube now. The only thing is I'm trying to figure out which day. Do I want to go back to Saturdays, and then we release new episodes on Saturday on YouTube and Rumble, and then we release it on every other podcast platform on Monday, because those are more audio based, and we want to give y'all a platform so y'all can go out when you're like traveling or driving on the road. You have something to listen to on your commute, whether it's to work or no matter where you go, you'll at least have it Monday morning. So hopefully on your drive you're not bored, and our conversations, our debates, our arguments will help ease your ride to work or to wherever your travels take. So that's kind of the goal. But I don't know, that may change. So I have a lot to think about now, because I am going to have to make changes now, because I'm kind of forced in a position to make changes. So I mean, I'm sorry I'm going through it, but I'm just, like I said, this is something that just kind of happened, and I'm happy about it. And now I got to go to the point of like trying to figure out, okay, what do we do now? Mind you, I already had to make changes because the way I used to edit the podcast basically got corrupted. So that change was already starting to be made. And now that this happened, another change is now going to have to be made. And I still agree with what I said last podcast. It sucks. it really does suck that we wound up having to take a break right before our holiday break, because right after this podcast, I think we have maybe 3 more, maybe 2 more after this one.
Yeah,
So
something like that.
yeah, so it really sucks that we wound up having to kind of like, this had to happen at the point in time where we're about to lead the podcast for a month. And so at that time, I'm probably gonna have to sit down in January and make changes. So, but again, I'm gonna talk more about that on the last podcast. But yeah, and most likely in January, I'm definitely gonna have to take a break that month and just sit down, just you know, figure out what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna go from there, because that now needs to be fixed and adjusted. So that does suck. I'll be honest with you, it definitely does.
Right, right.
So
Yeah, man. It do, man.
yeah,
It do, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, so hopefully season 4 will be a lot more stable. Hopefully, cause I thought season 3 would be straight, but no, we had a lot of changes for this season. So I know a lot of y'all don't know about it,
Right,
but we had a lot of changes and a lot of things happened during the season. At a point in time where I thought we were gonna have, I was trying to get some more stability, things got unstable. So hopefully next year there'll be a little bit more stability. So we'll see what happens.
right.
Um, I mean, I don't know. I'm just happy to be back on YouTube. And once again, we want to thank YouTube, and we appreciate y'all for letting us back on your platform. Now, don't get me wrong, my criticisms of social media in general still stands, but I would definitely say when they do the right thing, and we definitely got to say thank you. We definitely appreciate it. Ashley, you got anything you want to add? I mean, I got a few more things I want to say, but I don't want to talk too long. It's just me
No, you
talking.
heard. Yeah, you pretty much covered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, I guess the last things I want to say, I mean, again, just the reintroduction, even though I know I've done this already 5,500 times, but I'll do it here because we did go away. So once again, if you don't know, this channel is called the Opinion Piece Network, where this channel is basically where we post the podcast, a full podcast episode that fit the description, and because we want this podcast to be the flagship show of this channel, because I hope one day to expand this channel and add more content, add more shows. That's the goal. But that's kind of in the future if things start working out. But again, the podcast that we call ourselves is Fit the Description, which is a Black Mist podcast. Of course, we also have a Clips channel. Again, all the links will be down below. I think B said it when I was gone that we're on various different podcast platforms. I think he called some of them out. I know we're just repeating ourselves, but I just want to make sure to go kind of down the list so you kind of understand who we are, so there's no confusion. I know I went through over for the
Right.
people over there on Rumble. But again, we said it on an earlier podcast, but I made sure because we may have new viewers over there on Rumble, and to make sure that they know and to let them know that, hey, this is who we are. We're a Black Men's Podcast. We're opinionated podcast. We're opinionated channel. We also have we're not here, like I said, we're not here to be the arbiter of truth. I just bring a bunch of Black men who have different opinions, and we come together to have conversations or debates. It's simply that. Like I said, our goal is, because I'm a firm believer of opinion, and shout out to Keith. I gotta find that podcast where he said these words, but like Keith said it best. It's just an opinion, and that's all we're doing. We're just sharing our opinion on things. We're not here we're not a news network. We try our best. We try our best to give you the facts, but again, this is an opinionated podcast, so we're gonna get things wrong. We're gonna get things right. We're gonna have people say the wrong thing. But one of the things I told YouTube, and one of the ways that we do combat that, is that we do make sure to bring on people with different opinions, different backgrounds, different belief system, and to come together and have conversations. So we are able to have different opinions, and we are able to have people to call each other out. I mean, heck, if you listen to this podcast for any length of time, B would tell you, anybody would tell you, we have plenty of arguments and debates on this podcast all the time.
Exactly.
Happens all the time here. But again, that's just what we want to be. Again, we like to. My goal is, the goal of this channel, and my goal is simply put, it's just to go out, get different opinions, and just to have real conversations. I'm not a big fan of echo chambers, so I try my best, at least with this channel, to try to combat echo chambers here and at least try my best to bring in people with different opinions. I will
Right.
say one thing I have learned, and this is something I haven't said anybody, that I'm not gonna work so hard anymore on trying to find specific people with differences, but I'm gonna try my best where if people have differences of opinion on certain things, I want to make sure to bring them together and have conversation. And again, it's not just about arguments or debates; it's also to show that hey, we can have different belief systems come together and still have conversation and keep coming back. That's something I think a lot of
Right.
people. I mean, don't get me wrong. Behind the scenes, there's definitely been complaints. We definitely had our issues, but the one thing I think people do appreciate about this podcast, at least what I get, is that we do bring on people and we do allow different conversations, and people keep wanting to come back. Even the people that you haven't heard from for a while, even they have told me that they would like to come back. I mean, I don't know when because it's all about scheduling. I think I said this on the other podcast over there on Rumble, but I'll say it here again for YouTube that even those guys said they will be willing to come back. It's just timing and schedule because things have changed and people lives have changed. So that's why you don't hear a lot of the older voices from time to time. But pretty much everybody who's been on here except for one, and the one person who hasn't been back, there's no issues or nothing. They just, they just went off and did their own thing. So like, there's no beef with that one person. There's no issues. There's no arguments. There's no we don't get along or he can't come back again. That dude's always welcome back. But he just went off their own thing. But yeah, there has never been any issues. There's definitely been some criticism and some problems. But outside of that, people tend to enjoy it, and so hopefully, you will enjoy the content that we create, and you hopefully will subscribe. You will stick with us. You will help us build. You will help us grow because that's kind of the goal. Again, I have bigger plans for this channel, and it won't work without y'all because, like I said before, and I'll say it all the time, this ain't gonna go nowhere without your guys' help and support. And it's real simple. If you're over there on Rumble, make sure to follow. If you're over here on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. If you're over here on any other podcast platform, make sure to follow and subscribe. Make sure also to comment down below wherever you're at because we definitely do read the comments. And if they're good, we definitely will read them off, and I'll tell you straight up. If your comments are good enough, it will be as small as we'll read them off. We may not do every single one, but we'll definitely do a few and definitely have a section for comments and definitely read them off. If they're really good enough, we may make them a topic. And if they're really, really good, we may even invite you on. Maybe not directly on this podcast, but we are thinking about doing a different show in the future. So, who knows? Like, if you say the right thing, maybe one of the people on the podcast, and again, it's on them. It's on them. But maybe one of the people on the podcast may want to invite you on for a conversation. We may invite you on and we can have a discussion. Definitely going to try to make things like that happen. But again, it's really up to y'all. It just depends on your comments. Again, if your comments are good enough, I'll say it. I'll repeat it one more time. It could be as little of, we'll just read it off on the podcast up to the point where we may make it a topic. And if it's really, really great, we may even invite you on. Maybe not on this podcast, but we are working on it on something else. So we'll invite you on the channel and have a discussion for sure. So I know one, if you haven't watched that episode, I'll just give you a clue. I know somebody on the podcast has already asked somebody to come on to have a conversation and debate, but again, they never reached back out. So whatever happens, but hey, it just depends. It just depends. So I'm not promising that. I'm not saying we're going to do it all the time. And it definitely is depending on the individual. And that's one last thing I want to say before we move on. Oh crap, I forgot what I was gonna say. Whatever. Either way, I totally forgot what I was gonna say. But either way, yeah, I mean, again, we're gonna keep having conversation. We're gonna keep having debates. We're gonna keep, having people disagree and agree and just have funny conversation and just kicking it. But again, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back here on YouTube. I am sad that we lost a bunch of subscribers. Mind you, we didn't have many, but we went from 31 subscribers now down to 17. So that does suck. So,
Right.
hopefully y'all will come back,
Right.
I have heard that YouTube is also going through the process of deleting a lot of things. So a lot of people I heard are being unsubscribed. So if you have been, make sure to check that out. Although that doesn't really apply to us because we were banned. So that's a little different, but we're back. And, and obviously the other thing I will start doing, especially now that we're back on YouTube, Oh yeah, I do gotta address it. This is what I gotta say. I'd like to apologize to y'all over there on Rumble and everybody else because I know a lot of people, especially on the podcast, were happy because in a way, with being off of YouTube, we were able to let the floodgates basically open and we didn't really have to censor ourselves. So that's why on Rumble we had the conversation that we did have. And I know a lot of people were happy about that, but sad to say, we're going back to censoring ourselves, which sucks, at least to a certain degree. So,
Right.
I know a lot of people ain't happy about that, but we still want to stay on YouTube. We still want to have a presence on YouTube. Maybe what we might do, I don't know, I gotta talk to everybody, but it's kind of, it really does depend. Maybe we might do exclusive episodes for Rumble, but again, that's a maybe. I mean, we gotta see. I mean, I just gotta look at everybody's time and even my time, so that's the tough part. But yeah, if you like the uncensored stuff and us just being a lot more raw, that was okay on Rumble, but being back on YouTube, that's not necessarily possible. Maybe what I might
Right.
do, and I don't know, depending on if I have the time, we do have unreleased episode, which we call Fit the Description Raw. And we may release that on Rumble, but I don't know yet. So I don't
Right.
know. That's a maybe. But again,
Right.
like I said, sorry I'm going through all this stuff. I mean, just talking about the podcast, but again, we just got the channel back. I mean, I haven't uploaded in a minute outside of episode, what's it, 64, and we took a break. We're coming back with episode 65. You're probably not even hearing this until what, the second week of November.
Right.
Pretty much, because 25 comes out literally, I would say probably next Saturday. So so my fault, the third week of November. So, and to count it down, since we're not coming back this week. So we're back. The next episode will be released on Rumble and all of the podcast platforms on the 4th and the 11th. And then we have this episode is coming out on the 18th, and then the second half is on the 25th. And then
Okay.
we have the second, and then we have the 16th. We may do an episode on the 30th and the 6th. That's a maybe. It depends on if people want to come back. But yeah, it looks like at the recording of this, we'll pretty much be only 2 episodes left for sure. Maybe 3. It depends on if people want to come back for one final podcast for the new year. So we'll see what happens.
Right.
But yeah, but outside that, I mean, it definitely does suck that I really do wish we could have we didn't have to take a break, but we did. But it's okay. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to have the channel back. I'm glad that we could pull out full episodes. It looks like,
Exactly.
I know I was going to go ahead and delete some of the more I feel like more unsensitive clips on the Clips channel, but it looks like we didn't break no rules. And like I said, we do try to combat misinformation by having people with different opinions. We do show the sources if you watch the video form, but we do put it down below. And I'm also going to do a better job, because I will say I was getting lazy with policing the podcast for YouTube. So, I'm going to make sure to be a little bit better with that going forward. So again, like I said, if you like the raw format and more uncensored, I have to apologize to all of y'all. But yeah, we're bringing back the walls. Maybe one day, like if this channel becomes bigger and we could get a bigger cast, maybe if I could get some help, then we could actually start releasing more additional content. But yeah, also I want to address something too. We are on Patreon. I don't know if I want to stay on Patreon, but we do have some stuff uploaded there. We do have some tiers. Those are kind of official, but again, I don't promote the Patreon because we're not big enough for us to promote the Patreon. So right now it's really small. I do have content ready for the Patreon, although I did lose one video and I can't find it. I don't know what happened to it. It just disappeared, which that sucks. But we do have some videos uploaded exclusively on Patreon. But I just want to go after what we went through. I just want to find a website that's a little bit more, because I heard Patreon could be kind of a little bit sensitive to things. So if we're gonna launch exclusive content, I want to make sure that we're at a place where we kind of have more freedom to release the content that we really want to release.
Right.
You know, of course, we're not saying just go totally extreme, whatever, but we are saying that, I do want to play a place where, like, we can be a lot more raw, like how we really want to be. Not sure know what we're going to post on there. I'm not going to say like, oh, we're going to, but we do want a place like that. So right now right now I'm in the process of looking around outside of Patreon. That's why I don't really work on a Patreon. Well, I don't work on a Patreon for two reasons. One, we don't have a big enough audience to work on it right now. And two, I would, if possible, I would love to find another platform. In the best circumstance, which I know I've said it before, but things that happen, so I haven't been able to do it. But in the best circumstance, the number one goal is we would love to have a website and create a membership page, and we could just do whatever we want there on a membership page. So that's really like the ultimate goal, is to get a website and have a membership page so y'all can go there and get exclusive content, exclusive podcasts, just things that you can, things from us that you can't get anyplace else.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, and trust me, I got really big plans for that. But again, that's gonna come as we get bigger. So that's something to look forward to. I mean, I kind of hate to go through this again because I know I've done this multiple times where I say, "Oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this," But I feel like being gone and coming back, I think something like this is needed because, again, like I said, this just happened, so I'm just kind of processing everything. That's why I'm just going through all the things, all the changes that we're gonna do. But yeah, I mean, but anyways, with that being said, we're back here. We're back. We're back fully here on YouTube. Again, I'd like to thank YouTube. So once again, I want to let everybody know, for all y'all who have kids, the first 20 minutes will be censored. So I'll make sure there's no cussing on there. After the first 20 minutes, we get a little bit more raw, and it's going to be a lot more, vulgar stuff. So at least it gives y'all time, at least 20 minutes of time where, you don't have to hear any, cussing or what's the proper word? What's it? Vulgarity? Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's gonna come back, which sucks because now I gotta go back to editing again, which I was so happy because it was so nice to edit that podcast while I haven't do any major editings. But no, we're back to editing the podcast how we're supposed to. So yeah. Anyways, with that being said, again, I like I said, I think we're going to directly upload to Rumble now going forward. So get ready for that. The clip channel will still be mirrored from basically if uploads on YouTube, it's going to be uploaded to Rumble. But I think with Rumble, I'm going to start directly uploading to Rumble. So, but again, I got to go through the process. I got to figure out the days. I got to figure out when we're going to do it. So there's a lot of decisions to be made. I just wish it didn't happen at the end. I wish it would have happened at the end. So,
Right.
But again, I mean, one day I would tell people, don't be afraid to reach out to YouTube. I could tell you, I think what helped us out, get through it for anybody who wants to know what helped us out to give you some advice. Basically, I just went through their terms of service and I made sure to read it and just kind of, went down the list and kind of just explain at least the major points where it's like, okay, we never did any of this, and just describe why we didn't do it or what we did. So because what they said is there were some things that could have maybe did it, but it just didn't make sense to me. And plus, there's so many samples of the stuff that we talked about that was done on other channels, and they're still alive. The fact that we got banned, it just didn't make sense. But again, I want to thank YouTube for hearing the case. Definitely, I appreciate it. Thank you for letting us back on, and yeah, we hope to continue here. We hope to build an audience wherever we're at. We hope to build an audience, not just here on YouTube, but hopefully also they're on Rumble, also they're on all podcast platforms. We don't want to let anything go by the wayside. We want to make sure to keep doing this podcast and make sure to do it and not miss too many days. So, but with that being said, yeah, that's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to tell y'all. Sorry to take up all this time and just talking about the plans for this channel going forward. Probably in January, I will make sure to go over all the changes that we do. But at least the last two episodes, I don't know what we're going to do for them, but we'll definitely figure it out, and we're definitely going to give you some content. Either the last 2 or 3 episodes, we're definitely going to give you content. So, with that being said, we're here. No reason to fear, and like everybody said, we ain't going nowhere. So if we ever lose a platform, I promise you will always find us on some other one. I'll always make sure to keep you updated where you can find us at. always make sure to put links down below so you know where else where we're posting at. But at least you know where we're at, where we're gonna be, and you know how you can find it. Thank you all for rocking with us, who stuck with us. For the ones we lost, hopefully you come back. You know, I'm sorry that we got banned, so you no longer subscribe, and it's sad, but it doesn't mean nothing. We've been doing this for a couple of years, and I didn't realize it, but we've been doing this for like 2 years, and we're definitely going to be doing this for at least a couple more for sure. We're not going anywhere for a little while, so you're gonna keep hearing from us. So hopefully you enjoy our content. And again, the Clips channel is still alive, still breathing, still going. So we're still good with clips. So make sure to check out that channel. Fit the Description podcast here on YouTube. That's always going to be our Clips channel. And maybe we'll do special content for that channel too, but make sure to check that out. But yeah, that's all I wanted to do, which is give you an update. It's kind of funny because over here on YouTube, I'm used to like hearing so many YouTube channels talking about we got banned, our channel got deleted, and we don't know why. And it's crazy that we actually went through the process, and we could I can actually say, I don't know what happened.
Right.
And it's crazy. Like, I always hear it. You don't realize it till it happens to you. And now that it happened to us, it was like, I see now what all these channels were talking about when they said, we get banned. We have no idea what happened.
Exactly.
And I'm like, go ahead.
No, I just wish YouTube would do a better job with if something's happening on their side, like they're fixing the system or whatever, they'll do a better job at communicating that with the content creators on the platform. So when things do happen, we'll at least have a clue of what's actually going on here.
Yeah, I'm sure they do for the bigger creators. I mean, I think we're too small. I mean, I can say like I don't think they don't think about us. So I appreciate it, but because they did let us back on, but I just feel like we're a little too small.
Well, I get that we're small, but there should be like a messenger a message or something that goes to all the YouTube platforms to just give a notification, a notice we're having problems with the system or we're changing up the algorithm. So this might affect your page for a temporary time or something like that. I don't think that's such a hard request to do here.
Well, I mean, mind you, we were totally banned. We were terminated. But I get what you're saying, and yeah, I would say this. I do wish like they would have, like we would have got some mention or something, because it's just kind of crazy to like just wake up and the channel's gone and I have no idea what happened.
Right.
And I'm like, why is the channel gone?
I
don't know what did it. I don't know why it happened. Because at least like if it happened, I could at least be like, okay, this happened. I see the issue. I'll correct it, or I could get rid of it or delete it. Like, for example, which I'm not happy about is that this is not really YouTube's fault. I didn't know I was using copyrighted music, but I was doing another video, and it had copyright music, and basically YouTube came ahead and told us, hey, this music is copyrighted. And I could go in there and make the changes if I need to, and that's very helpful, because at least I know what the problem is. I like, you put the time code where it's at, and I could fix the problem.
Right.
I mean, I can't really fix the problem if I don't know. Now, don't get me wrong. When it comes to the spam and stuff, I am way more acclimated with the rules now, so I'm happy about that.
Right.
I'm gonna make sure they adhere to these rules. We got to play within YouTube's rules. This was a great reminder about, these platforms do have rules, whether we like them or not.
Exactly.
We got to hear about it. But I do agree. Like, I do wish there was, some form of communication, because it just sucked. Like, just waking up and just like the channel's gone.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it's that hard to, to leave. Or like I said, maybe there was something going on on their end of the things. Maybe they're updating their system or something. just put that out there. Like I said, updating system might affect some profiles. So let's give it a week and we'll be back up and running at full capacity. So something like that. You know,
I
just
would say, go ahead.
huh?
My fault.
Yeah,
That's what you're doing.
that's give us a heads up.
In YouTube's defense, I would defend YouTube on this front. It is kind of hard to be able to get everybody and talk to everybody when you have what's I think they got millions of videos being uploaded every minute, so it's hard to keep track of everything.
Of course.
So I will defend them in that sense. It is hard. You're gonna have something slip through the cracks. It happens.
Of course.
So I'm not gonna be too mad, but I just was like thinking like maybe we'll get like a communication or something, and we just woke up one day and it was gone. I'm like, what the?
Right.
I was like, but the one thing that helped me out, like when I look at YouTube, I see people like getting all sad and depressed. You want to know the one thing that I think helped me out big time?
Mm-hmm.
I have backups of the entire podcast.
Right.
And I'm so happy that I backed up everything on this channel.
Right.
Like every podcast, every episode is all backed up. Now there are a few that may not be edited, and those ones, especially the early ones, those ones may be a pain.
Right.
But outside of those, pretty much every podcast I've ever done or worked on, they're all backed up and they're all ready to be uploaded at any point in time.
Yeah, I guess, dude, you'd be surprised just how many YouTubers don't back up their videos. They make a video, they upload it on YouTube, and they don't have a personal copy for themselves. And then if something happened to their channel, they literally lost everything,
Yeah.
literally. And I can't really explain how many YouTubers did that in the past, or even
Yeah.
doing it right now. Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
got some pretty bad news on that front.
Uh-huh.
I am running out of storage pretty badly. And so the backup of any of all my content is about to be way more difficult.
Right.
And I really got to fix that problem soon. That's one issue that has popped up that I found. Even though I have made, which B knows about it, I
Yeah.
do have storage solutions. My storage solutions that I have is not fully completed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2023 has been a very fun time for trying to find work. I go a lot. So that's kind of issue. So I'm trying to figure out a way where I could go ahead and at least get one more, at least before the year ends. I would like to get at least one final storage solution, and then I'll be okay for at least a couple of months. That's the one thing that kind of sucks, especially after we went through this. It's the fact that I ran out of storage. And I'm just like, oh no.
Right.
Like this is the worst time after what we went through. And like I said, you're right. It's very comforting knowing that you have all your stuff backed up. It really feels good.
Right. That's a fact, man. But you're right. It does take up a lot of space. A lot of
Well,
space.
okay. Well, disclaimer, that's not the only thing that's taking up a lot of space, but yeah, with all the episodes that we did, I mean, think about it. We do right now we're on the release of this podcast, we're literally on episode 66, and as you know, we split them up into 2 different chapters. So yeah, so think about that. So what is it? 66 times 2 is what?
Oh man.
Don't worry, I'll do the math. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I just went blank for a sec. Yeah, 66 times 2 is 132.
So we technically have 132 videos.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So
Sorry that I just went when you asked the question, I just went completely blank. I was like,
yeah.
I had to change my mind to math mode.
Right. So yeah, so you gotta think about that's how many videos we have in total.
Right.
And all of them are like as low as 45 minutes all the way up until 2 hours a chapter. Or I'd say just over 2 hours a chapter.
Right.
So it's funny. I was talking to Keith, and we technically have been doing this podcast for almost 3 years now.
Doesn't even feel like it.
I know it doesn't. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it until I talked to Keith about it off the podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, we've been doing this for a couple of years." I'm like, "Holy crap!" Like, because we started this in 2020, technically, and now we're on our third season. You know. All right. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're back. You're back. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. Apologize to the audience. My connection just keep going in and out today. I don't know why.
Yeah. So you're gonna have B and you're gonna be losing B. But again, we're gonna do a full podcast. Like I said, B ain't going nowhere. So he may leave for a second, but then he'll be back. Plus, I gotta leave for a second because I gotta go pick something up and then I'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just funny that again, man, like we've been doing this. Yeah, I mean, I forgot the first podcast that was uploaded. I forgot the date, but yeah, we technically been doing this for about 3 years now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. I think did we fully start in the summer of 2020 or was it because I know the first episode was around George Floyd,
Mm-hmm.
and then we stopped for a minute, and then we came back and then we started doing it almost every day. I say we started doing it every other week.
I think it was 2020.
No, I know for a fact it was 2020.
Yeah.
I just forgot what period because I know we did it, then we stopped for a sec, and then we came back.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, this podcast officially did start in 2020.
Yeah.
Even though it started under a different name. But yeah, the fact that we've been doing this long, man, like I said, I would have never, like I said, if it wasn't for the fact me talking to Keith and him making me realize that, dude, like you said, I would only thought like we only did like maybe only a couple of months, maybe like 1 year. Because it doesn't feel like it's been 3 years.
Right.
You know.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I got a quick update and a quick correction. And first, I want to start off with the correction. Earlier in this podcast, I sat there and talked about Fit the Description Raw, and I was actually talking about Fit the Description Cut Content, which, to tell you what those are, Fit the Description Raw is an uncensored version of the podcast with very little edits, and Fit the Description Cut Content is the content that we cut out. So I did want to make that correction real quick because I was listening to this podcast, and I think it was very important to make that correction. Now, with that being said, I want to quickly address episode 65 before the end of this chapter. Episode 65, chapter 2, because I was so far into editing and we pretty much had it done, there was a couple of topics that I didn't feel that was the best for YouTube, and because I didn't really want to go through it because I'm already editing and working on episode 66, I decided to go ahead and make episode 65 chapter 2 a Rumble exclusive. So you can check out episode 65 chapter 2 only on Rumble, not on any other audio platforms, at least for now. Now they may change in the future, but for right now, if you want to check that out, you can go check that out over there on Rumble. Maybe I may bring it back to the other platforms with some editing, but I thought I'll do something special for y'all listeners over there on Rumble for checking us out and supporting us as I started uploading the full episodes to Rumble. So that's something special for y'all for the Rumble audience. Now, again, that may change in the future, because I am going to have to edit that podcast and take some stuff out. But as of right now, that's why I put that under the Fit the Description Raw format, which is the podcast with very little editing. And it's actually longer than we normally do chapters. So I hope you enjoy that one. If you're over there on Rumble, thank you for your support. And beyond that, for every other platform, we are back. And we should start getting back to normal as best as we can by the second chapter of this podcast. So stay tuned. We're almost out of here for our season, which sucks. But like I said at the intro, we are back here on YouTube. And I hope you enjoy this content. And again, if you want to get episode 65, chapter 2, check out Rumble. That's the only place it's going to be posted on for now. Oh, and because it's been a while since I've done this, welcome to Fit the Description, a Black Men's podcast where various Black men come together to talk about life, society, entertainment, culture, news, and whatever else we want to talk about from various Black men's perspectives. I'm your host, G, and today we got B, which he's not here to respond. You heard him earlier. And just so you know, if you want to check us out, make sure to check the links down below. We're on various different podcast platforms. And with that being said, it's good to be back. And we'll see y'all next week with the second chapter of episode 66. Have a good one.